Just speaking from the perspective of a Asia specialist and China specialist, I would say I welcome the pointed language on China. I thought the Indo-Pacific section standing alone was quite robust, and I think that's pretty much a consensus among a lot of the Asia-China watchers. What I thought was missing and what I was hungry for a little more was a clearer definition of just what China is and the challenge that it poses to the United States. I think the national security strategy does a decent job laying out some of the medium-term challenges coming from China. I think China is a competitor, a challenger, a disruptor, and it's certainly set to rewrite how the world is wired and how it functions. It wants to undermine American leadership and interests, and I think we need to be very clear-eyed about just what that is. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would like to see a little more of the rallying language. What is the American story on fighting with China? Why are we competing with China? Why are we doing this in the first place? And so that to me was the missing piece I wanted to see more of. I sense three narratives in how the Chinese are looking at this strategy and what they think of it. Right? One is there's certainly I detect a sense of triumphalism. Right? They see this like, oh my gosh, the United States is in decline. Yeah, I see that a lot. The United States is recognizing that China is a peer competitor. I've seen that, right? The United States is scaling down from the broader world to just focus on our own immediate neighborhood, the Western Hemisphere. The second bit is what I see is they see as an opportunity, right? Maybe to drive a wedge between the United States and its more traditional alliances and Europe. They see this as a possibility potentially to dent that. I think some of them see it that way. And then the last bin, the third bin, is sort of they actually think this might be a problem for China. They're watching whether there's going to be a grand bargain, quote unquote, with China this spring when the president goes in April. He likes to talk about his great relationship with Chairman Xi. So I think they're anxious to see what that means. The other aspect, what I'm sensing is what they see in how we talk about Europe. They're nervous about that. They're nervous about that because I think a lot of our closest friends in Asia see Europe as really integral to the long-term stability and prosperity and the health of democratic governance in Asia. In some ways, the document reads like an affirmation in bullet points. Our economic sort of complaints vis-a-vis the PRC in the last 20 years. And to me, as somebody who's been quite concerned about China's sort of predatory practices over the last 2 decades, that's actually a welcome definition and a welcome outlining. What I would love to see is sort of how this is going to be translated into a broader strategy and implemented over the next, 2 to 3 to 4 years, right? Coordinating policy, how do you think about making sure that we can work together to rebalance China's economy, to force it to rebalance over a long term, to make sure that we are syncing up our policy priorities, to make sure that Beijing is not going to swamp us with overcapacity, to make sure that when it comes to AI and technology development, the democratic free world, if you will be the one setting the agenda. I think that's actually a decent idea. I think that's something that I would love to see how that's going to be activated. And that's something that for us, as policy experts, we need to keep watching and encourage and push the administration to move in that direction.